Hi everybody, and welcome to the session on bringing your personality into the online classroom. Now, we have all been teaching online, maybe exclusively, for the last about year. And when a class is in the online environment, one of the things that faculty typically worry about is, am I getting enough of me into those interactions? Do they know me? Do I know them? And are we building those relationships that are so important? So this session is all about not losing the you in an online class. And that goes for students as well. How do you make sure that you are getting their personalities to come out too? So to go through this session, I have an infographic here that we are going to go through, and it'll allow me to talk a little bit more about this topic of bringing a personality into an online classroom. So this is going to be our guide, and I'm going to go ahead and walk us through this. And actually what I'm doing right now in terms of not only doing a video but putting myself in a video is one of those tips that might lend itself to a stronger connection between yourself and your students. Not just the use of video, but putting yourself in that video as well. So keep that in mind. Okay, as we move forward here, there's our title, and I've got 4 benefits listed here to you and to the student of bringing those personalities into an online classroom. The first one, build strong relationships, and that leads to more authentic work. As you build those relationships, the work that students are doing feels like it's for a real person. It's not just work that's just out there, and it feels like they are able to continue to work knowing that it's going to you and they have built a relationship with you. So those strong relationships and the authenticity of their work go hand in hand. The second one, eliminate barriers and anonymity. I think often in an online class, sometimes it feels like people are anonymous. You know their name, they know your name, but that's about it. And that does feel like a barrier to getting to know each other, maybe to reaching out and asking questions. But when you can break down those barriers and really be able to take that anonymity away, that authentic relationship starts to build. So eliminating those barriers that students may feel in order to ask questions or to reach out to you in some way, because they don't feel like you're a real person, or they don't feel like they're a real person to you, may really help to build those relationships. Student satisfaction and retention. You'll see a little bit later some feedback that myself and a colleague collected doing a survey to online students, and that satisfaction in being able to build relationships with faculty is real, and that will retain them from one class to another. We want to keep our students, and we want them to feel that connection to us. Bringing your personality into an online class will definitely help students to feel more satisfied, as well as retain them moving forward. Establish trust and support. So we'll start with support. In an online class, this may be one of the first times that a student has been online. So you need to make sure that they feel supported in those endeavors, making sure that they have the technical support, the emotional support, the academic support that they need to excel in your class. And when you establish that trust, which again is all about relationship building, the feedback that you are giving them feels easier to take in and to make meaningful to them. When they trust you and know that you are there truly to give them the best experience you can, as well as a strong foundation to move forward to the next class, and that trust is there, they can trust your feedback and who you are. So establishing trust and support is another really important part here. All right, so now that we're bought into, yep, there's a lot of benefits here, how do we do this? So the next section is all on how to bring personality into the classroom. And I have 6 things here, and this is certainly not an exhaustive list. This is just the 6 that I think are maybe the most important, or the things that came to mind that I have found to be most helpful in bringing my personality to the classes that I have taught. So the first one, include an introductory video that tells about you in addition to the class. So in my class, I have a video that I give my students at the first week, and I'm sitting outside of my house and I'm really casually talking to them. And I include in that not just what the class is about, but I give them a little bit about me. And I poke fun at myself a little bit. I tell them that I'm a sports fan for a particular team, then I tell them that it makes me not very popular in this area. And it brings, I think, not just some information they need about the class, but it allows them to see that I'm approachable, that I'm joking around with them, that I have some personality outside of even the class. So I do use that as an opportunity to allow them to get to know me and joke around with them a little bit. It doesn't need to be long. I think mine is maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. We shot it on an iPhone outside. My husband helped me. It does not have to be any big deal, but I think what you're more looking for there is tone and establishing a rapport with them that will ring true throughout the rest of the semester. So that's one of the things, is include an introductory video, but again, make sure that you are coming out in that video. Consider starting each new unit with a video or audio to set the tone and kick off the content in a personal way. So I do this in my class. At the beginning of each module, they have a video that's called Start Here. So Module 1, start here. Module 2, start here. And I show them what is coming up for that week's content. But in addition to that, I usually put myself on the video like I'm doing right now, just so that they can see me, hear from me, again, hear my inflections and get to know me a little bit. And it allows them to know that I'm a real person, that I am coming at them as in the beginning of the unit, introducing it to them just as I would in class. So the same kinds of things you would say at the beginning of a unit for your in-person class. You'd say, hey, you guys, this is what we're going to cover today. Same kind of thing. And they are physically hearing from you and seeing you at the same time. 3 kind of goes along with 2. It takes it maybe into the content piece. Infuse the content delivery with video, audio, and personal experiences. So I remember a faculty member years ago when we first started teaching online saying, but I tell a lot of stories in my class and I don't want to lose that in an online environment. You definitely shouldn't. Tell those stories. Tell them in audio format. Tell them in video format. Any way you want to get it to them, but don't lose you in that. Those personal experiences that you have and that connect you to the content make you the perfect person to teach this class. So bring that part of it in and don't lose that. If you have a PowerPoint that has the content, but no you, speak over that PowerPoint so that they can hear you talk about that content, not just the content alone. So you plus the content is going to make this successful. So definitely make sure you are infusing video and audio with those personal experiences in that content that you're teaching. Number 4, encourage different modes for online discussion. Model the use of audio or video to establish tone and openness. Now, there's a lot of tools that can do this for you, and we'll actually get into the specifics of those in the next section, I believe. But when you have an online discussion, I think we're all really used to those traditional online discussions, and they're text-based. Nothing wrong with that. But so many people use them that sometimes they can feel a little bit drier than maybe we're hoping for. And when you choose an online discussion that allows for audio or video, you do bring something different to that discussion. You're bringing your expressions, you're bringing, again, your tone, you're bringing excitement that you're talking about a specific topic, or maybe the opposite. Maybe this topic is difficult and that comes through in your audio or video. So there are several tools that will do that for you pretty easily and integrate really well into learning management systems. So I'd really encourage you to look into different modes for online discussion that might allow not just you to come through, but your students as well. When they sit down to do a discussion and they are speaking it, I think different things come out than when they type it. Nothing wrong with typing. I think they both get to different skills, but it is something that allows for a different way to express yourself. So look for those opportunities where you can bring in different modes to those discussions. And that doesn't mean you do one or the other and that's all for a class. Do both. Maybe one week you do have a text discussion and maybe one week you bring in a video discussion. So keep both of them in mind. All right, number 5, be consistent and detailed in your communication with students. This is really important, and making sure that you are touching base with them on a regular basis ensures that they know you're there for them. So consistent and detailed. And how often should you do that? there's no set rule. I will tell you, in my class, I reach out to them twice during the week. Once when I'm releasing information. For me, it's on Sundays, and they get an email and they get an announcement, and I use Canvas that says, hey, here's the new week's content. Here's what you're going to be working on. Good luck. Then they get a reminder email from me partway through the week that says, hey, just as a reminder, here's the things you're working on. Don't forget you have this assignment due. If I've graded something, I'll let them know in that reminder email these grades are posted. And I try to give good details in those so that they know very clearly what's expected. And then they actually hear from me one more time during the week. I use a tool called Remind, and I think it's listed in our list of tools here in the next section. And that allows me to send a text message to them to remind them one more time on Saturdays what is due on Sunday. This is a voluntary thing that they can sign up for. I don't know their cell phone number. They don't know mine. It's a really wonderful tool that allows me to reach them on their phones quickly as just a quick reminder, very quick message to them that says, hey, here's what's going on tomorrow. So they hear from me 3 times in a given week. I have there to be consistent. I think that's really important too in an online class. I don't send them their new content on Saturday one week and on Tuesday another week and on Thursday another week. There is a consistent pattern to that in the communication. You don't want them to get lost in the due dates. You want there to be some consistency. So for me, it's Sundays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. That's not a hard and fast rule. It's what works for my class, but consistency and details and making sure you are communicating with them are the important components there. All right, number 6, offer personal student feedback via audio, video, and targeted emails. Okay, so we are all offering feedback in assignments. That's part of what we do. But consider using audio or video when you are giving that feedback to students. So here's what I mean. If you have a student paper that's up in front of you, or in my class, it's a technology class, they do a lot of projects. So I might be looking at a project they put together digitally, so it's on my screen. Consider using a tool to speak to them about their project, be it a paper or a digital project or a discussion prompt perhaps, where you are talking to them maybe with your face on like I'm doing now, maybe it's just your voice, but you're giving them a really personalized piece of feedback from you. A couple things happen when you do that. Number 1, it allows you, once again, to connect to them personally. But number 2, I think it allows students to hear maybe tougher feedback in a softer way. So if I write, there were a lot of challenges with your project, here they are. That may come across differently than me saying, okay, I want to show you here. Here's an area where we could improve on this, and here's why. Physically, with the project in front of me and my mouse moving around and showing them. It also allows me to show them where there were pitfalls a little more easily than saying, when you click on this button, it took me to a dead link, something like that. So going that extra mile and allowing you to be involved, your voice and your picture maybe, in feedback to them, I think checks a lot of boxes in terms of trying to bring you to them and them to you. The targeted emails part, I do try for each of my assignments to send a couple of emails out to students that just say, thank you so much for your hard work on this assignment. I can tell you spent a lot of time on it, and it came through. I could see the work that you put into this, and it's appreciated. Those little emails that I'll pick a few students each time, depends on the assignment, allows them to know that you truly are looking through their pieces and that you care about how they're doing. So I do try to do that as well. It doesn't take a lot of time, but I think it means a lot to them. So these are 6 ways to bring personality into the classroom. Again, not an exhaustive list, but 6 things that have worked for me and things that I think does help to connect students to you and vice versa, and students to each other in a different way, especially if they are having discussions with each other using audio and video. So let's scroll down a little bit more and see what kind of tools can help us with these things. All right, so this section is on helpful tools. So the first section are tools that allow for multiple modes of discussion. So I have 4 listed here. All 4 have been helpful and things that I've seen to be very useful in the classroom. VoiceThread, Padlet, Flipgrid, and Nearpod. So each of the 4 of these kind of do different things. VoiceThread allows you to bring in a conversation in the middle of a content delivery. So you might have a few slides that you are speaking over, and then you might have on, say, the 3rd or 4th slide, let's have a discussion about this. This is meant to be asynchronous, so students can work on this on their own time, and they have multiple ways to add themselves to the discussion. They can put in text to type in their response. They can use audio, and they can use video. So you might allow for them to pick which one works best for them, or you might indicate which one you want them to use. Padlet is a great tool that allows kind of an online bulletin board tool that allows students to bring in all sorts of resources to add to this online bulletin board. They can bring in audio, video, PDFs, URLs, articles, all sorts of things that are collected inside of this online bulletin board. A great way to not only compile resources, but have a discussion at the same time. I checked that one out as well. Flipgrid, maybe you've heard of. It's become very popular over the last year. In essence, it's a video discussion tool. It does more than that, but that's the gist of it. Students can record themselves having a video discussion. Students can then reply off of each other to offer feedback or to reply to them. Students can also record their screens, and that can be shared with their classmates and their teachers. So Flipgrid is an entirely free tool. All of these 4 are rather, and it's a really easy tool and integrates well into LMSs as well. Nearpod. Nearpod is meant to be a content delivery tool with integrated interactivity. So it supports a lot of different ways students can interact with each other, and I find it to be a pretty robust tool. But it does allow for, this one can be asynchronous or synchronous, which is really nice. And there are collaboration boards, and there are ways to allow students to play games with each other, those kinds of things. So all 4 of those are really good tools that I have used and seen used in classes to be effective. Loom, Screencastify, and Screencast-O-Matic. These are all great tools for content delivery, but also student feedback. These, in essence, are screen recorders. All 3 of them allow you to record your screen, which is great if you want to record, say, your voice over a PowerPoint or your video over a PowerPoint, but it's also great if you want to take a student project and put your voice over top of that as well. My personal favorite of the 3, if we're talking about free tools, is Loom. It allows for 45 minutes if you're an educator, and it's a really easy tool to use. Screencast-O-Matic is wonderful too, but in order to get to all the great features, there is a pro account you have to pay for. It's not a lot, and I use that one when I'm creating professional videos, but it's not, the free version is a little bit limited, but all 3 are great. These Remind and your LMS announcements support updates and student communication. Use those to connect to your students and make sure that they are connecting to you. And I had mentioned Remind in the section before. All right, let's scroll down a little bit more. I want to show you some student feedback on instructor presence in a classroom. This was taken from a survey that I did with a colleague and what students had to say about their online experience. My professor used video messages as help to make my first class experience more humanizing. I love that word. One professor did a very nice job of explaining material via video. It was almost like being in a class on campus. Awesome. I think weekly communication from the instructor is very important. It lets me know that they are there to help us. The professor did not keep up with grading or comments and didn't respond to emails. I felt disconnected. And an unsuccessful online class that I have been a part of involves a lack of involvement of the teacher. So you can see 3 really great pieces of feedback and 2 that didn't go well and why they didn't go well. So I think we need to make sure we are listening to what students have to say to us and making sure that we are making this online experience as positive as possible. So these were students and what they said to us about their online learning experience. So gang, let's finish up here with my last thoughts. Last thoughts are this. Don't be afraid to humanize yourself and show your students who you are and allow them to get to know each other as well. Humor and personal stories can go a long way to building those relationships between yourself and students and among students. So you guys, I hope that you were able to take something away from this session. I hope a couple of nuggets stick with you and you're able to incorporate into your own classes. And don't forget to bring you into your classes to build those relationships with your students. Have a great one.